Hi, BookTube. I'm here today with Tucker again to do the Dilemmas of a Book Nerd tag. This was created by another Lindsay, Lindsay's Little Library, and I found this tag through Eric Carl Anderson's channel, and I'll leave a link in the description below to both of their channels and the original tag. The first question is book storage. How do you store and organize your books? Like I mentioned previously, I mainly read through my library, and I mainly read via ebooks and my Kindle Paperwhite. And so technically, I don't really store my books anywhere, because once I've borrowed a book from the library and it goes onto my device, and like when the loan ends, it goes back to the library. And so I just I don't purchase a lot of ebooks because I think they're overly expensive. And so really the only ebooks I have that I own on the Kindle Paperwhite are like the free classics that Amazon has, and so yeah. And then I just have a couple of physical books that I have like on a little shelf that doesn't take up a whole bookcase at all, like half of a shelf. So yeah, there's that. So number 2, tracking. How do you keep track of what you have read and what books you own? I mainly use Goodreads. Previously, before getting into the world of accounting, where you're on Excel on the computer all day, I was using Brock's spreadsheet that he's created. I think his channel name is Let's Read. I think he doesn't make videos that often anymore, but he created this like brilliant, in-depth Excel spreadsheet that keeps track of your reading, and it's like you can keep track of the series and all sorts of information, like the title, the name of the author, when it came out, the genre, your how long did it take you to read it? Do you own it? Did you purchase it through various locations? And it breaks down how much money did you save if you use the library? All sorts of like really interesting information. But since I started in accounting, like I mentioned, I don't want to spend any more time than I have to on the computer, and so I just use Goodreads as like a general way of tracking my books. And then the other part of the question is how do I keep track of what books I own? I can't answer that in the first question of how I don't really own a lot of books, which is, I know, not good. It's against the norm for people on BookTube. But yeah, it's easy for me to keep track because I don't own that many. Let's see, number 3, borrow. Do you lend your books out? No, I don't, because like I said, I don't have that many. But when I was reading physical books, I loaned a book out once or twice to my boyfriend's mother, who is trying to like get into reading. She retired, and so she had a lot more time on her hands, and she wanted to get into reading. So I did loan her a couple of books, but it took almost a year to get them back, and she didn't return them in like horrible condition or anything like that. But it was kind of like annoying, because I'm like, I keep thinking back in my mind, do I want to pester her a bit to get the books back? Have you read these yet, or what? But yeah, I don't really think it's the best idea. So yeah, I don't loan any books out anymore. See, number 4, buying. How do you buy or acquire your books? Like I mentioned before, I acquire them through the library. I will occasionally go to a used bookstore, and very rarely a new bookstore. Like I mentioned, I went to the BookTube prize meetup. We did a book crawl. I did purchase a new book there. But yeah, mostly through the library and yeah, used bookstores. I like trolling through them every now and then, but it's not something I regularly do, because a lot of those I can find at the library, especially like the backlist books that are commonly found there. Let's see, number 5, comments. How do you respond to the "how do you read so much" comment or similar comments? I do get that question because I read a lot of books. I read on a normal month around like 25 to 30 books a month, and mainly it's due to I don't have a lot of other hobbies. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch sports. And so my main hobby is reading. And so also at work, some of what I do is like data entry, and like I'm looking at numbers, I'm not looking at words. And so I can listen to an audiobook while I'm doing my work, which helps me get through some audiobooks. And also like when I'm walking my dog, I'll listen to a book as well. And so yeah, I put a lot of time into reading. Is how I read so much. See, number 6, next book. How do you pick your next read? Well, like I mentioned, I get a lot of books from the library, and so like on like the app, I can like see like the date of each of the books I've checked out when they're due back in the library. And so what I do is I look at the most soon to be leaving my possession, and I will get to that. And then, or if it's saying, oh, I have like 2 days left to read that, and I need more than 2 days to read it, I will like reserve it again. So when it comes back into my possession, then I will read it then, if that makes sense. So it's mainly, when it's due back in the library, I'll get to as many as I can before they're need to be returned to the library. And and it's a whole like cycle, because my library lets me check out 30 books, and so I tend to have like 25 to 30 books checked out at once, and so it's a constant loop. Are they going back to the hold, or have I read them and then I can like delete them from my little loop? So if that makes sense, that's how I figure out what I'm going to be reading next. See, number 7, travel. How do you pick what books you bring on vacation with you? And so yeah, they're all in my paperwhite, and so it's really easy to travel because I don't have to worry about lugging books or having them, because when I was reading physical books previously, I was always worried about putting them all in bags and then like the pages or the covers being bent, and so or like you worry about losing them. It's like heavy to travel with, so the Kindle paperwhite makes it very convenient to travel with. Let's see, number 8, annotate. Do you write or highlight or mark up your books in any way? I don't really. I know like the Kindle, it has like like popular highlights. If people have like highlighted this one sentence quite a few times, then it will pop up as a highlight. So I mean, I'll look through that. But me myself, I don't highlight in them or make comments. I do occasionally with nonfiction, like a really like meaty, dense nonfiction book. I will like make my notes as I'm reading it. So if I want to refer back to it, especially if I'm reading like a book on World War II. And then I'm going to pick up the next month I'm reading another book about World War II. And I'll look back at that previous book. And the Kindle, it saves your notes. You can actually look at it on your computer as well. And so it makes it handy to kind of like see what you've read on a topic. So I don't really do it with fiction, because it's like if I read, I don't know, like this book I'm currently reading, this mystery book, Where They Found Her. Like no one, this book is like by itself, and so there's not going to be, unless there's a sequel, there's not going to be another book rehashing this topic. And so I'd only find notes that handy, like just the way I use them, if that makes sense. Let's see, number 9, new or backlist. Which do you prefer, new releases or backlist books? As the years gone on, and as I've been watching BookTube more and more, I got like the fever for reading new books from watching people talk about them. And so as time goes on, I read more and more new releases. I'm not sure how many I've read so far this year, but I do read quite a bit of new releases. And so what's also nice about the library is, I'm not paying out of pocket so much money for hardback new releases. And so the library has really helped me to kind of like keep up with like the new books that are coming out, which is nice. And I also read a lot of backlists. Before, when I was just reading physical books, I don't have the money to read a lot of new books, and so I was reading almost solely backlist books, that would pop up at a used bookstore, like if I'm lucky, a year after it was been printed or published. But most often it's like 2 or 3 years out that you'll see them at a used bookstore. But yeah, like my reading has shifted since due to the library, but I still read mostly backlist than new releases. But I do read, like I probably say like a third of my reading is new releases. Let's see, number 10, sequels. Do you read books as they are released for weight? I think that there's a typo in the sentence. Do you read books as they are released, or wait instead of for, it's supposed to be or wait for an entire series to be published before reading one book? And I don't wait for a series to be all completed before reading them, because sometimes it takes authors a really long time to publish a series. And that what first pops in my mind is, like, for example, George R. R. Martin. You're going to be waiting a very, very long time before that series is finished. So I'm okay, reading them as I get to them. And if it happens to be, a couple years before the next one is out, then I will either look on Wikipedia to see the short summary of each of the books in the series previously, before the new one, or if I really like the series, or if I have time, or if it's a shorter series, it's only 1 or 2 books, then I will reread them before starting that next one if it's been quite a long time where I've forgotten a lot about the story. And then I guess the last question is who do I tag? And like I said, this tag has been out for quite a while, and I'm not sure who has done it and who hasn't. But if this sounds interesting to you, then feel free to do the tag. Thanks. I'll see you soon, book 2.